Hello and welcome to another Penguin Palace video. I'm Sharon, I'm the owner of Penguin Palace. Today I have for you an intro to the dotted borders slimline pull tab standalone dies and the desert landscape scene builder dies and stencil set. In this video I'll be showing you the step-by-step on how I made these two slimline cards with these new products. I created two very different looking cards. One is a day scene and the other is a night scene. I wanted to showcase these products in the same video because they do really work well together. So let's get started. I have here the dotted border slimline pull tab die. This is a 10-piece set. I really like the look of the clean and simple dotted details. And here's a quick look at the new stamp set and the coordinating dies we're going to be using in this example. This one is called Mysterious Egypt. We wanted to do something unique and I really don't think you've seen this theme before. And there are some really adorable images in this set. I just love them. And you'll notice that all the dies in this release they come pre-snipped, which is really handy. And here's a quick look at the Desert Landscape Scene Builder Dies and Stencil Set. This is the first 2-in-1 dies and stencil set that we've created. And I have to tell you, this is the perfect match for the Egyptian stamp set that I've just showed you. You'll be able to create different desert scenes using different techniques, which I'll show you in a minute. So let's take a closer look at the Dotted Borders Slimline Pull Tab die. You get this large rectangle which measures 3.5 by 8.5 and the small rectangle measures 3 by 8. The dotted detail is very clean and simple. And there are 4 dies that cut out the slits, and the slits will be the little tracks where your moving parts will go up and down or sideways. And you get the stitched tab notch and a channel piece to ensure your pull tab is going in the right direction. And of course there's the pull tab with the score lines, and finally a small decorative piece with a little arrow for your pull tab. I have here a few examples on what you can do by mixing these two sets of products. I have the mountain silhouette die cut from the Desert Landscape Scene Builder set. This piece was cut using the new Hot Fudge cardstock. I also took another landscape curve from the same set, die cut it using the White Sand Beach cardstock, and then I further gave them both the dotted border details using the Slimline rectangle die. Right away you get these beautiful landscapes which you can use for not just desert scenes but for other scenes as well. These two dies here are also from the same Desert Scene Builder set. This one here has the 3 stitched mountains, and I also cut out another piece with this particular die, and I'll show you why in just a minute. Also, I'm going to show you a trick that will turn these mountains into 3-dimensional sand dunes. First, I'm going to use some tape runner on my mountains and then stick that onto my craft mat. And with a large clear stencil in this scene builder set, there are these cutouts that can help you turn these mountains into sand dunes. So you simply tape down your stencil and start inking and blending to create a gorgeous shadow effect. And see how this simple step can create a 3-dimensional effect? And notice how we made this stencil in clear material, because that way you know exactly where you're inking and adding shadows or colors on your die cut piece. And now I'm just moving my stencil up and I'm applying ink on the other faces. And I gotta tell you, it's super easy to create depth with this custom-made stencil. And you see how this blended area forms a curve? You're going to find that this curve is the exact same one that you get from one of the die cuts in the set. And then you simply overlay them together to complete the look. And there are also two other slopes which you can choose from the set. And now I'm going to show you another thing that this stencil can do. Remember how I showed you the silhouette die a little earlier? So besides die cutting the silhouette, you can actually blend that on cardstock by using the edge of your stencil. So after blending with the bottom edge of the stencil, you're going to use the top edge to mask off the silhouette and therefore allowing you to blend the sky. So with a combination of the die cuts and the clear stencil, you can do lots of different variations of mountains and landscape scenes. You can die cut the hills, the silhouettes, you can blend shadows, create three-dimensional landscaping, create sand dunes, desert scenes, ink blend the silhouettes of the mountains, and then easily mask it off and blend the sky. And this set just gives you so many possibilities. And here I'm using my stencil as a mask while I'm adding some ink splatter to the gray area. So for my cards, I use a bunch of images from Mysterious Egypt. That's one of the new stamp sets from this release. I stamped them using Memento blacking and colored them using Copics and die cut them using the coordinating dies. And I always love popping them out, they're just so cute. For one of my cards, I die cut the small rectangle from the pull tab die set using Citrus Cooler cardstock and blended Wild Honey Distress Oxide ink on it to give it a little bit more depth. I glued down the blended sand dunes and added the matching landscape slope on top of it. Then I decided where the moving part was going to be. And this is where my track is going to go. Then put a pencil mark to where I wanted to cut my little tab piece, basically aligning that to my slider. I did save the little slit that I've cut out as I didn't want the background to show through. I do have a little tip for you. As you can see here, my slit die cut had to cut through 3 layers of cardstock here. However, it didn't quite cut through all the layers after running it through my die cut machine. So in the end, I had to use my cutter to help me get the whole piece out of the way. Here I'm folding my pull tab piece. Since the track will be running on a thicker card, I had to adjust the fold lines just a little bit. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. The original score line was here, but I'm going to fold it a little bit further down. And I'll pop this piece through my slider. So it's good to watch out that when you're working with thicker cards and that your track is running on layers of cardstock just like mine, you might have to do some minor adjustments. So if I had made the folds too far back, I would have made the mechanism too tight and the pull tab would not be able to slide smoothly. And here you can see that I do like to add another piece on the back of my pull tab just to strengthen it, to make it a little sturdier to pull and push. Nothing fancy, it doesn't have to be the exact same length. And here I'm just checking that everything's still running smoothly. Just add in my channel piece, which will keep the mechanism going in the right direction. And make sure that you've pushed the pull tab all the way in before you cut off the excess. I added the decorative piece onto my pull tab. I also added a piece of trimming to the camo and connected that to one of the characters. Finally, I heat embossed a sentiment on my card before adhering the whole thing onto my back panel. completes the card. For my other card, I wanted to create a scene where the mummy was coming up from the tomb. So I first decided where I wanted my track to be, and then pop in the slit die cut and ran it through my die cut machine. So same as the other card, I did save the little slit that I've cut out, so I stick that on my back panel as I didn't want the background to show through. And I took one of the images from Scary Halloween, which I thought would be perfect for this card. As before, I cut the notch out for my pull tab. So on this pull tab, I'm just going to fold at the score lines, and I know it's going to run smoothly because I'm just working with a one layer card. And I'll just pop the pull tab into the track and add my channel piece. So here I ended up cutting a bigger gap on my tomb image so that the pull tab can still run smoothly over it. And I didn't want the background to show through here, so I colored it all in black. Then I put together all the other images and adhered the whole thing onto my back panel. And that completes my scene. So I really hope you enjoyed today's showcase and inspiration. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you in my next video.